What if two people are holding the ball with one hand simultaneously, and they're both running?
I don't think that's ever happened. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Speech Check. I am Sam.
And I'm Matt.
And this is episode 10.
And today we're going to talk about World of Horror, E3's cancellation, and our favourite rule set from a sport. But before we talk about any of that, Sam, what have you been playing?
I have been playing more of Red Dead.
Okay.
I have not been playing more of the story, which might be blasphemous to some, and that's kind of a unwritten rule of mine, that I generally don't touch an online section before I finish with the campaign of a game.
They're quite different in Red Dead, though, aren't they? Like the story and the online are very different entities.
It's its own thing, yeah,
Yeah.
which I think I've kind of covered a bit before. But I put more time into that. I've kind of cracked the meta.
Okay.
So I looked up how to, like, the best ways to make money. Generally with stuff like this and GTA, like, I deliberately waited a decent amount of time for the kind of community to sort itself out, people to establish what are the good things to do, what are the bad things to do, stuff like you should essentially buy, what weapons are good, what weapons are bad, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wait for the kind of meta in the community to develop a little bit.
So you wait until there's like decent research for
Yeah.
you to tap into.
And the online itself was branded as being in a beta phase for a good, at least 3 months, maybe more. Maybe 4 or 5.
Could you feel that? Was it like palpable?
That's why I didn't touch it in that phase, because it was
okay.
being released with like a beta branding on it. It was called Red Dead Online Beta.
Okay.
So it's come out of that now. But yeah, the way initially I was looking at it was to hunt. So there's loads of stuff in the game. Generally, the best stuff to hunt is like deer and elk, because when you skin animals, you get a lot of stuff from them. You get like you get meat, which you can use to craft stuff to make food and that. But you do get a lot for it, and like animal carcasses and things like that. So that's a good way if you're starting off. If you haven't got into Red Dead properly yet online, that's a good way to start. Get a varmint rifle or a bolt action rifle. These are probably the two best like long range weapons, and they're not too expensive. And use that to use the varmint rifle to hunt like smaller animals like rabbits and stuff, and then use the bolt action to kill like deer and elk and that kind of stuff. And then you can do, I think I've spoken about it before, you can do one of 4 roles. You want to go for the collector.
Okay.
Because it has online collectibles. They're on like a procedurally generated map.
Okay.
So every day there's a 24-hour cycle of a lot of collectibles. There's a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
And if you collect them, there is an online map that people have, like, I guess, collated the knowledge.
Okay.
And it updates. You can pick and choose what ones you want to see. It details like random encounters. It's really high detailed, and I don't know who made it, but whoever did, well done to those people.
Where can you find that map? Do you know the site or what people should search for to find it?
I saw it. I was looking for, because you have to sell the stuff to a woman.
Okay.
And she disappears every day, and you have to go and find her. And
Okay.
So initially I was looking for that, and I found it through that. I'll put the link in the description, actually.
Okay, yeah,
So
link in description.
So if you do want to get into that, it's a really good resource to use. It does kind of take the gameness away from it, because when I go to play it, I just go on a treasure hunt for a bit, which, you know, isn't, I imagine, what Rockstar are aiming for, but that's what my experience is. And
does it take the fun away from it a little bit, because you don't really search, it's almost like just following a dot to dot. You're not.
Yeah, so I I'll find where she is, and then I'll get the stuff around her so I can quickly sell it to her, and then I'll go from like kind of town to town. And there's usually some stuff around the major cities, so you just kind of ping to each one.
Okay.
So it does kind of make it into a different kind of game. Some people even might be like, why are you playing it that way? Like you say, it saps the fun out of it. But I'm getting like my achievement stuff out of the way. That's my way of playing. It's probably not a lot of people's way, but
that's how you enjoy the game, right? The game is there for you to interact with it, however you choose. You know,
yeah. So
up to you.
Do that. I've got that stuff kind of almost done. The hardest thing is you need to own 5 horses at once. I need to buy stable spaces and then buy the horses, but you can just buy the worst horse, which is like $50. But like the stables get like exponentially more expensive, so it's like $100, $250, $500, $750.
Okay.
So, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I was going to say what you've explained before. That's that's a lot. That's
Yeah,
like
but
not a trivial amount.
But the collector, when you collect that stuff and sell it to her, it ranges in price, but you'll get anywhere from like $7 to like 20, depending on the thing you give her. Like
Okay.
stuff like jewelry is more expensive, whereas like plants.
So if you completed all of those collection tasks in a day, or however long it takes for it to refresh, would you expect like $100, $150?
You'd be getting thousands. You get loads because you get a bonus if you like. There's a set of collectibles,
Okay.
and if you turn them all in at once, it's you have a complete collection, so you get an XP and a money bonus from that.
Okay, so you could really rinse it. So the achievement with the 5 horses,
Yeah.
you get that in no time if you had.
It took me a few play sessions, but generally what I would do is I would stick a YouTube video on my phone, do that for a bit. So I'm kind of passively playing. I would recommend anyone else to do that because to just go around collecting collectibles in silence.
Yeah.
It's not a fun ordeal, but such is the life of an achievement hunter. I also got randomly attacked. So the game has like, it kind of prides itself on having these, you can get like just ambushed by NPCs. I was in a town.
Okay.
I had my meat. I was trying to cook a succulent American steak.
Okay. Delicious.
Some mature venison. And then I see it's like you have to go into like a menu to cook stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got pulled out of it and I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I was like just outside of a town. And I see this red dot and I'm like, oh, is that an enemy? Is that a PvP dude trying to go around causing trouble? Because you can get players that are like hostile and marked with red.
Okay.
I looked, and then it was just, this is just a random NPC, and some random AI was going nuts, running around town shooting people, and then he pulled up to me, shot me once, nearly killed me. I pulled out my double sword offs, took him straight down, and the game went murder, dishonorable. I was like, this guy's fucking going crazy.
Had he killed other NPCs by that point?
He killed about 3 other people. Yeah. So I don't know what it was.
That's
I
weird.
thought it would have been an honourable action because he's going crazy.
Or like some I don't know, bounty quest or something like.
Yeah, because things happen like that in game, where like if you're like in the main story, if you're honourable, bandits and outlaws and stuff will try and attack you, or because they're like, they know you're a good guy, so they're hostile towards you. Whereas if you run into like lawmen or whatever, they'll be like, oh, you're a good guy because you help us catch criminals and stuff.
It's like a basic like karma system.
Yeah, it's like a dynamic karma system and different people will react to you based on what that is. You know, which isn't revolutionary, but that's good that those dynamic events kind of happen in the world.
Yeah, it's cool that it's.
And I thought that was happening I thought that was an instance of that, but I don't know what was going on.
Maybe
just a glitch in the system.
Picked a fight with the wrong guy.
Yeah.
He just went a bit crazy.
Just trying to cook some simple oregano beef and people trying to shoot me in the back. But yeah, that's the majority of what I'm playing. I haven't put too much time into anything else other than that's the most noteworthy thing I've been playing. But
it sounds like it's quite time consuming as well.
Yeah, it was like I'll do that late at night generally where I'm like, okay, I don't want to get into anything too intense. And I'll be like, okay, just do this quietly, put on a video. If anything, the gaming is almost secondary, which is kind of odd. But
yeah,
that is. But yeah. What have you been playing, Matt? I know what you've been playing, but tell the people what you've been playing.
I've been playing Resident Evil 2 a lot.
You have.
So Resident Evil 3 is coming out pretty soon.
Oh.
I'm pretty stoked for it. I believe it's first week of April.
Is April 3rd?
Yep, and I will definitely be talking about that and also owning it along with Doom Eternal. Oh. But yeah, I went around my friend's house a couple of weeks ago and we ran through we ran through Claire's campaign A. We have we've kind of built up a little bit of a tradition of we go around when there's like the boxing's on, it's on at like 4 a.m. and we'll start a Resident Evil game at like 5 p.m. and we'll try and play through the whole thing before the boxing starts. And we've managed the remake and 2 twice now. I think we did 4 as well. But yeah, so I'm going for the S Plus Leon run at the minute, Leon A. I've completed Leon A and Claire A on standard difficulty. I got an S rank for Claire. I got an A for Leon.
Congratulations.
I was
That's
surprised.
no
for
easy
the
feat.
S.
Yeah.
I really didn't expect to get the S rank with Claire because I did a bunch of massive time wastes, like going back to the RPD for the pieces of your SMG, and even getting the SMG in the first place is something you shouldn't really do if you're interested in time. But yeah, if you want to get the S Plus for any of the 4 main campaigns, you have to complete the game in hardcore with under 3 saves in under 2.5 hours for A campaigns and under 2 for the B campaigns. So you've got to be on it. You've got to know where you're going, what's happening.
When you start hardcore
Mm-hmm.
with the 3 saves thing,
Mm-hmm.
does it start you with 3 ink ribbons?
No.
Okay, so you still have to you can still theoretically save and mess yourself up. That's
Yeah, you can.
That's
Yeah.
kind of...
I mean, you've got to be aware of it. You've got to know what
Yeah.
the intent of your run. It's kind of like a secret grade, I suppose. It's not so
Yeah.
secret anymore because the game's been out for so long. But, if you really want to be really good, that's like the above S. You've gone out your way to get it. And I got to G2 in an hour and 10. So I was doing pretty well. I was on for the 2.5 hour close. But I saved in the wrong place.
Where did you save?
My first save was before G1, which is...
That's generally the most consistent save from what I know.
It's a good place to do it. G1 can mess you up, especially if I was going for the knife kill to save ammo for G2, which I'm able to get. I'm able to get him with 2 knives, a stun grenade, and a regular grenade. I can't do the proper knife strap, but I can do it mostly.
That's like a level in of itself, right, to do the...
You've got to know exactly where to stand, where to aim, and how to strafe, and I'm just not quite there with my strafing.
Safety versus like the gamble to do that, if you messed it up, is going to be, a loss of what, 20 minutes, half an hour?
Yeah, and because you save right before him, so I was just running at him over and over again and trying to figure out how this knife strap worked. So I saved there before G1. I got to the crocodile, just before the crocodile, before Ada's section, and I saved there because I had to go and do something else. And I thought, you know what, I've gone from G1 to crocodile. I'm an hour in. That's pretty good time. I can probably make that.
Wait, the crocodile? You said the virus affects people, not reptiles.
I love it. That explains the horrible things I've seen.
A virus has people into monsters.
They're selling a virus that turns people into indestructible monsters. I got to the crocodile, saved, came back. I managed to get through Ada's section, which I died on a couple times through my own stupidity.
So I've seen the game speedrun and watched some walkthroughs and stuff. I don't, maybe because I've not watched it properly, I don't understand what her sections are. They seem completely different.
So Ada's...
I've seen her with a little Wi-Fi thing to break fans.
Yeah, you play Ada once. It's just her whole thing is that she's got that hacking tool, so she can see wires through walls, and you have to play power conductor games and overload fans. You have a little puzzle section with wires and fans. Then you have a little section with zombies, and you have to run around them. That section is really annoying. But once you know where the power node is, when you're first dropped into it, if you were new to the game, it's basically a maze with zombies. You have limited resources, and you're looking for power cables through a wall with a gun. It replaces your gun, so you have to scan around looking for these power cables while you're getting chased around a dark maze with zombies. So it's really annoying. Basically, it's just an annoying section. But yeah, G2. I find the G2 fight really hard. I know that people who actually speedrun the game can do it without firing a shot. You just have to bait him into attacking and run past him.
Someone with a crane?
Yeah. I kill myself with that crane so regularly, man. And because I'd saved before the crocodile, that would mean if I managed to get through G2, I would either have to try and do the whole labs before G3 and then Tyrant, or save before the labs and then do the entire labs with G3 and Tyrant. If I die on either of those, I'm going back to the beginning of the labs, which I don't really want to do. So I decided I'm going to start again, try and get a quicker run, and go for the S+.
Fair. Sometimes it's best to cut your losses, I guess.
Yeah, no, I don't think I can achieve it, so just going to go back, start again, use the knowledge that I've learned.
It would be more annoying to get to the end or get to the final save and know that you couldn't do it in that time, you physically couldn't.
Oh, that'd be crushing, man.
Yeah, if you I don't know, you saved it 2 hours and you know that the lab takes you at least 35 minutes. You're
you're just done.
Yeah,
it's just ugh. But yeah, save advice for Resident Evil 2, a game that came out 2 years ago, a year ago. No, a year ago.
Technically, 2019. Yeah, beginning of 2019.
Yeah.
So.
Save at G1, G2, and then before G3 for Leon. Don't bother with anything else because you can get through the rest of the game without. Some people can get through it without taking damage, but certainly without dying if you've got defense items. But yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Cool. so that's what we've been playing. But Matt, take us into the releases.
I will do that right now. So this week, today, this episode,
very
right
good.
now, we've got two kind of more indie titles. There's not a great deal coming out on the AAA, at least this month. Next month, we've got some absolute bangers to cover, which I'm probably going to buy and play both of. I'm not going to spoil that one for you.
Full commitment to the cause.
Might even try and get a full playthrough before I do it.
Ooh.
So first off, we're going to be hitting One Punch Man, a hero nobody knows, coming us from Bandai Namco, published by Spike Chunsoft, and that was released February 27th, 2020. This is developed by the same company who made Jump Force, which is kind of like an Super Smash Brothers for anime fans.
Yeah, I saw that, and I couldn't quite work out what it was, but I knew that I'm not a big anime person, but yeah, I saw that was a thing, and I was like, what the hell is that? I saw it was a fighting game. But
I think it was a big deal for people who were into that sphere of cartoons. It's an arena fighter, so not your Tekken Street Fighter 2D, not your Super Smash Brothers. I don't know what you call it. People call it a party fighter, but
come at me.
Come on. So Jump Force did okay when it was released. It reviewed it 60% with a 4 out of 10 user review on Metacritic. It was like okay. It was middle of the road, and I've read some stuff. I've watched some stuff, and from what I can see, they've kind of mishandled One Punch Man a little bit. If you don't know what One Punch Man is, it's an anime set around a hero that is so powerful he can defeat every foe with one punch, and he's completely indestructible. So it's kind of like a parodied Superman. So it's about how you find threat in that world and how he deals with being so super powerful. So I've only watched a few episodes of it. It is kind of funny. The humor's on point. It's a fun watch. And in this game, you have a similar kind of arena fighter style to Jump Force or the Dragon Ball Z games as well. They have that kind of open 3D movement sort of feel to them. But it leans over into like an action RPG game. So if you played No More Heroes,
yes,
it's set up a bit like that, where you make your own hero in this universe, and he or she is aiming to be a superhero of their own. And you go around, you fight bad guys, and you have like a hub world, and you do quests in this hub world, and you level up your stats, and your stats give you different moves and different armor pieces, abilities in fights. So you have this whole campaign, and the first thing that triggered for me is that, this isn't a fighting game then, because those mechanics don't really go together.
Yeah. A
fighting game is all about having a certain equality of play field, and then you verse two people together. So that's a kind of, I don't know, a mismatch of genres maybe. Having an action RPG arena fighter. It's kind of strange. It's got a 10-hour single-player campaign, which is lackluster from what I was hearing. Lots of fetch quests, lots of run around, beat this guy, run around, beat this guy, run around, beat this guy. And that's kind of it.
A lot of padding.
Yeah. Your main character, the character you play as, has voice acting in fights. So like you say the name of your moves and stuff, but you never say anything in cutscenes, quote unquote cutscenes, because they use in-game character models and just kind of position them. So it isn't really like a proper cutscene. Yeah. That was actually something that rubbed some people up the wrong way, because in the promo material, they use the fact that this is like a really hyper-stylized anime to sell the game. So they showed a really awesome cutscene with like 3D models and stuff. And that only happens in the intro of the game. And then there isn't another cutscene like that at all for the rest of the game.
The old bait and switch.
A little bit. I've also heard that the humor doesn't land so well. So talking about the anime being a very humorous experience and it tackling that kind of comedy, it's kind of one note. It's all a bit, just lackluster, I suppose.
Do you know if any of the writers of the show were involved with the development or not?
That I don't know. I believe they were consulted, but I'm not sure if they were directly involved. I'd assume because it's Bandai Namco and they'd previously made Jump Force, they have close ties with the writers of the anime, so I would hope that they were closely linked to it, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's just one of those things where it doesn't translate that from one type of media to another. It doesn't cross that barrier.
It's not a guarantee for sure.
Yeah. One cool function that I saw is that you have heroes that can turn up and help you during a fight. So sometimes when you're fighting a supervillain, you'll have like a little picture-in-picture camera that will show up under your health that shows a hero from the anime, like Naruto running towards your location. It gives you a little timer countdown, and then when they show up, they just help you beat the kind of character you're versing. And that can happen for the villains too. So it can kind of add a bit of time pressure if someone's got a villain that's going to show up and going to make your life hell. A weird thing is that One Punch Man can show up too, and when he does, he just wins the fight. He'll just turn up and hit them, and that's the end of the fight. And sometimes you play as One Punch Man as well, and the fight starts and you punch and that's it. And apparently they overplay that joke. Like it starts as a joke in the anime in like the first 10 minutes of the first episode. You get it, and then they start to build up different things. But apparently that kind of one-note humor comes back time and time again, and it's not really that funny the 6th or 7th time you've seen it.
Also, it's just, okay, then why can't I just use that to beat every boss? Or if you're going to circumvent any challenge of the game by doing that, what's the point, right?
I get it as like a one-time thing. Like, I don't know, build up some mega powerful boss.
And then have it as like that be the punchline of the joke.
Yeah.
No pun.
Yeah.
But yeah, to have that as just being like, okay, I'll just stall this out and hope that one punch turns up.
It's a mechanic in the game. Having it as a legitimate mechanic, I think, is a weird thing. Having it as a joke event, I could understand.
Yeah, like a one-off, like say a one-off set piece that happens, and you go, oh, okay, that's funny. And then, but yeah, having that as a thing, like I said, as an actual mechanic, seems unusual. So,
single player is average, not so great. The fighting mechanics themselves are very limited and basic because it's an arena fighter. Other arena fighters might be more complicated, but from what I've seen, they're the least technical of the fighting games. Come at me if I'm wrong, because that's maybe a controversial thing to say.
Doesn't mean they're not technical necessarily, but with how far fighting games have come, they kind of have to be technical, right? That is the meat and potatoes of their game, is their mechanics.
Like if you pick up Street Fighter 5 now, you're going to struggle for a bit before you actually learn the mechanical technique required to pull off the moves and stuff. And in arena fighters, from what I've seen, there isn't really much tech. There's still gaming involved. You still have to be, know your opponent, and your standard fighting game rules apply, like frame advantage and offensive and defensive positioning and stuff. But in this, it's even less so. There's like almost none. It's more of an action RPG than it is an arena fighter experience. And there's also multiplayer, competitive multiplayer.
Okay.
So you can play against other people's avatars, and they can bring their fighters into this online space.
Question.
Go on.
Tell me that they cannot get One Punch Man.
So there's a mode that allows you to play as your created fighters.
Yeah.
And there's a mode that allows you to play as fighters from the anime, and that's the ranked mode. And in that ranked mode, One Punch Man is available. He's available as a character in that, which completely kind of, I don't know, it defeats the object a little bit. If you want it to be competitive ranked, then you shouldn't have your joke character in there, It's I felt like it was a really strange experience. The only way to not have One Punch Man in the multiplayer is to have the kind of, I don't know what the equivalent would be. It's like a custom match, to set up a custom match.
Oh, like, so no One Punch Man rule set.
Yeah, you have to make your own rule set that doesn't get recorded by the game's ranking system, and you play that with another person, which is kind of a strange decision in my opinion.
Odd.
So yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of the anime, I would watch a couple of reviews, and if you think you can put up with a fairly basic campaign structure, you might enjoy building your own hero and walking around in that universe, but it's certainly not a priority to pick up, I would say. It's a miss for me. Solid miss.
It does, not to crap all over an anime, but it definitely sounds like it.
So the next one coming at us, this is an indie title in early access right now. World of Horror from Panstaz.
That is a hard word to say.
Panstaz Studios, published by Easebreed Games.
God, they're not being nice to you on this, are they?
That's rough. That was released. I say it was opened up to early access 20th of February 2020. This is based on the works of Junji Ito, who is like the H.P. Lovecraft of Japan. He writes manga.
This is gonna be right up your alley then.
I was loving it. I took in a lot of info about this because it seems awesome. It's kind of a lo-fi adventure RPG. So the graphical presentation is incredibly simplistic, and it's very reminiscent of the late 90s, early 2000s adventure games. So it feels a bit Monkey Island-ish, but then you do get into more RPG style combat encounters where you do have to fight an enemy. And in fact, their RPG combat encounters seem pretty cool, but I'll get to that in a sec. I'll lay out the universe. So you're in a small village. You're a student in this little village in Japan. I think it's in Japan. And mysteries start popping up. So it might be people are going missing at the school, or there's a type of vegetable that's never been seen on Earth growing in this farmer's crop. And your job is to go to these different places and explore these mysteries to get a key so that you can approach a lighthouse, which is kind of like a boss rush sort of thing at the end of the game. Now, all of these mysteries are predicated on random generation. So the clues, the enemies you'll face, the riddles you'll have to complete are all randomly selected from predisposed sets. And within that, you then have random encounters too. So you've got a completely unique mystery that pops up every time you play, 1 of 5, and then you'll have random encounters within that. And your job is to manage your health, sanity, and a doom meter, which is kind of it's how close you're bringing this eldritch power to the world. And the more time you spend casting spells or like interacting with certain objects, you can increase your doom, which will mean that the powers that are affecting this town are becoming more and more powerful.
You're like opening up that tear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's about managing these 3 statistics and your money whilst collecting key items in the world, like exploring the game space, and then solving puzzles.
That's interesting to have those like plate spinning mechanics going in a game kind of like this.
Yeah, it is an RPG, but it's more of like a management game as well, like a.
So there's I'm getting shades of like XCOM in it, that kind of micromanagement stuff. Obviously not in the it's not a turn-based tactical shooter, whatever you want to call it. Tactical shooter, what the hell am I on about?
No, that's right. That's pretty accurate.
I just got images of Rainbow Six in my head. People like. But yeah, having those mechanics, it seems like it would be odd on the surface, but I bet it works pretty well.
It seems like it does. It definitely gripped me, and like the subject matter is personally interesting to me, so I was very much into it. It's hard for me to describe how you interact with the game though, because I've said it's a bit Monkey Island-ish, but not really. You're always selecting from like a menu or something. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure book in digital form with RPG mechanics, puzzle solving. Seems really interesting. I'm not doing it justice as well because the visuals are a huge part, the kind of disturbing visuals, and the soundtrack as well is great. So I would definitely look up a review for that. And if you're into that kind of cosmic horror, you'll love it. You'll love it from just watching the reviews or watching people play it. You'll get it immediately.
It'll be your kind of game.
Yeah, for sure. So that definitely a pickup in my opinion. I might end up getting this, but I'm also saving for next month because we've got RE3 and Eternal. Oh, Doom Eternal.
The only thing that's here is you.
Oh, I need that game in my life, man. So another indie title for us today. What the Golf. Coming at us from Triband, 19th of September 2019. I've gone a little bit back in time for this one because it's a really, really weird and interesting game.
From the points that you've put down, it definitely seems like it.
Yeah, and this is another. I've really given myself a hurdle to try and jump here because both of these games have non-specific presentation, so I can't be like it's a third-person action game. Like it's
a Soulsborne.
Yeah, it's a Metroidvania microtransaction Soulsborne third-person RPG action game. It's not that.
I'm pretty sure like the last 5 or 10 projects that got posted to Kickstarter, I have that description.
I thought that was like EA's mission statement for the next year.
Yeah, that's just all they're saying. That's the only games we're going to show.
All those ones. So it has the mechanics of kind of a mobile golf game where you have a ball, it has a power meter, you hold a button, you choose the direction of that power meter, you hold a button to fill it up, and then you go that far. And that's as much as it has to do with golf as it will have.
And that is where the metaphor ends.
So as an example of this game, you start off with a green in front of you. It's very simplistic graphically. You've got your man, he's got his club, and you've got the power meter. And then when you fill that up, the dude goes springing towards the hole with the force, and the ball goes nowhere. So it's just the whole game is golfing different objects towards different goal zones in various situations. So in one of the games, you have to hit a hole into a giant one, and then it says hole in one, and then it goes to the next. So it's full of like kind of dumb humor, little referential bits and bobs. I quite enjoyed watching the playthrough of it. They reference other games, TV properties. There's a part where you play Super Hot, but they call it Super Putt. So you have guys that are shooting at your golf ball, and your golf ball moves through guns, and the bullets, and it's basically just the mechanics of Super Hot, but in a golfing sim. And in between every level, it says Super Putt in that Super Putt. Yeah. Does that. So it's kind of a silly, funny game, and I thought I'd bring it up, and just it's pretty cheap. Go and check it out if you fancy a laugh. It
sounds cool. It sounds like they've got the humor right, and that's a tough thing to do. Like I said, in One Punch Man, humor not so much, but then something like this,
it definitely translates in this. And as I said, maybe the humor in One Punch Man is better made for television.
Yeah,
and it doesn't come across in a game because you're with the game for 10 hours, not 30 minutes.
Passive media as opposed to interactive. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, but that's it for what I got for you.
Cool. Thanks, Matt.
No worries, man. So that's enough of me rambling about what's been out lately. I'm going to hand over to Sam, who's going to tell us what's going on in the news.
I shall, but before I do that, we'll address, we've had a slight format change.
Okay, yeah.
Just because it was a lot for me to ramble on about. I think it was a bit lopsided in that I think you were covering the reviews very well, Matt,
thank you.
In a healthy time frame. But I think the news was just kind of running a bit too long, but we've mutually agreed on. This isn't me making an executive decision. There you go, if I could say it normally. So instead of my normal nuggets and my 3 stories, I'm going to have my 2 smaller stories.
Okay.
And then a main meaty one.
Okay.
So that will hopefully even out the time a bit more, and you'll have to hear me talk less, which might be good, might be bad. I don't know.
Well, let's see how it goes. See how long it takes.
Okay. So the first one we've got is this. We'll start with the 2 smaller ones.
Sure.
That the Last of Us, the very highly regarded game, being made into a show by HBO.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which, if they can do a good job of it, I'm sure will be very good. It's being written by the guy who wrote Chernobyl, if you watched Chernobyl.
I did not watch Chernobyl, but I heard good things.
Yeah, it's got after, I think it came out just after Game of Thrones, and it shot to the top everybody's ratings and stuff. I've not heard a bad thing said about it.
No, same here.
It get a poor review in any way. And that man's name is Craig Mazin, M-A-Z-I-N. Say that how you will.
Amazing, yeah.
And he's actually teaming up with the Last of Us director, Neil Druckmann.
Oh, great.
So there's direct involvement.
Yeah.
They're not just taking the license and doing whatever they want with it. There's direct involvement from Naughty Dog, which is going to be cool.
That's awesome, yeah.
That's always a healthy thing to hear, I think. If that's not happening, I usually get a little bit worried that they're going to take the source material and just kind of run in whatever direction they want.
It can happen, yeah.
Yeah. And I get that you can't directly adapt every scene of a game into a TV show. That's not plausible because, like I said,
it's a hard thing to do. So. I mean, I think The Witcher has kind of set a good precedent.
Yeah, it shows that it can be done, even though it's not strictly a game.
Yeah, true.
It is officially a book series, which became a game, which, it's going to follow the events of the first game. They haven't announced, obviously they're probably going to wait until see how this does, if it does well, which I imagine it will do. HBO have a good pedigree of quality to them.
They put a high production value.
Yeah,
got high.
Naughty Dog are a good dev, so I'd be very surprised if it does badly. But yeah, it's going to follow the events of the first game, and then possibly, if it gets more serious, could bridge the gap, or it could obviously follow the game that's coming up. Well, next month after, I think.
It's 2 months now, yeah.
Yeah, so who knows? We could be getting more.
Exciting.
It's officially a collaboration between HBO, Sony Pictures Television, and PlayStation Productions, which I didn't really know was a thing. but I assume
is that their like television media brand?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what they're kind of. I think Xbox technically has one as well, but I don't know what it's called. The producers are going to be Caroline Strauss, who was the former president of HBO,
Okay.
and Evan Wells, who's the president of Naughty Dog. So
Okay.
again, more good names if you know those people. That's again put a good seal of approval on it. That they're getting as many people from the original material as involved as they can be.
Yeah.
For the people that they would matter. There has been a bit of like mutual backslapping between Druckmann and Mason, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been like, I'm a big fan of his work, and he's like, oh yeah, he makes some fantastic stuff.
Okay.
There's been a little bit of
Respect each other.
yeah. I
Professionally.
don't know if it's gone a bit too like he's a genius of his field. It's kind of got a bit superlative.
Okay.
Because the guy Mason actually called The Last of Us. He called it Druckmann's magnum opus.
Okay. I mean, it's a very good game.
It's
a very good game. That's what I
Like,
would say.
I think those are strong words. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
You could think that again, not taking anything away from The Last of Us. Fantastic game,
It's a great game.
but those are to call something a magnum opus is quite a.
I mean, to say it's his magnum opus, that might be true. It might be his, but that generally refers to like the absolute pinnacle of someone's life's work.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is.
Does he stop now? Is that well?
I've done the best thing I'm ever going to do.
Also, yeah, if he called it his own, and then he was like, okay, yeah, fair, that's his magnum opus is a fantastic piece of work. But the fact that someone else has said that's your magnum opus, it's like, okay, I guess I'll never make anything else.
Well, it's a kind thing to say, but it is hyperbolic, a little bit too much.
It's the first video game to be adapted to a live-action TV series, and like we just mentioned, The Witcher doesn't technically count, but I can understand if you're thinking in that mindset, because it is officially a book. And like previous versions of stuff, there was the Super Mario show, which I watched when I was a kid.
Yep.
That was it had live-action bits, but it wasn't.
No, it was
like that. It was a cartoon show. You watched it because it was a cartoon show. Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, they were all cartoons. And to be fair, Donkey Kong on Fox Kids, I used to watch that.
I never watched that.
It was cool. It was unusual. It had a different kind of tone to it, but it was good. I was a kid. It was a cartoon. That was all I needed. I'm trying to think of more series that would be good, that could potentially be good to adapt. And the ones I've got down are, as much as they aren't trailblazing games, Watch Dogs.
Okay.
That seems to me to have a bit more longevity as that. Kind of on like a Mr. Robot vibe.
Yeah, it could be. It depends how you approached it, really.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it as Watch Dogs 1.
To be honest, I found the narratives of the game pretty flat, pretty one note.
Yeah,
didn't really go anywhere for me.
Yeah, Watch Dogs 2 had more character to it, but I think Watch Dogs 1, the dude just wanted to be Batman, Aiden Pierce.
Yeah, it was just I was wronged, and now I do good stuff.
Yeah,
that's kind of his whole character.
I thought, as much as the movie's not great, Assassin's Creed, I thought that would be better as a series. I reckon you can make a good series out of that. Series of the Brotherhood.
I think you'd have to I don't know. I don't know. I can't get the movie out of my head. It was just they had Fassbender as well. How? That's a different bother for a different time.
The Division, I thought would be cool. That's kind of set up for that.
I know nothing about The Division. Absolutely nothing.
It's just post-apocalypse. Again, so if you can make this, you can probably make that.
Fair enough.
And then I've got GTA, Red Dead, Halo.
I'm with you on GTA and Red Dead. I think their stories are pretty thick, and you could do interesting stuff with it.
They're just like well-established narratives, right? You could stretch out for a long period of time.
No BioShock on the list?
I'd watch a BioShock film. Yeah, I don't know if it's a series. So I don't know what the core tenets for the series would have to be, but I think maybe when you've got established characters that can play over a long arc, whereas I think BioShock works better in a 90-minute to 2-hour,
like a condensed singular story.
Yeah, to have those things rather than.
I can see that.
I think you'd have to follow maybe like a splicer or something living in Rapture, or a person living in Colombia, rather than.
What if they did like a Fear the Walking Dead thing, where you had
they could do
the fall of Rapture up to the...
Yeah, because they kind of did that in the... Wasn't that like the tutorial bit for the multiplayer of Bioshock 2? That was the setting for it. It was New Year's Eve of 59?
Because the multiplayer is supposed to be that evening, right?
Yeah.
That's why everyone's going nuts.
The breakdown of society, yeah.
Yeah.
So, those are just my thoughts. If you know any video game series that you think would be good to adapt to TV, shout them out in the comments. Let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Next one, bit more serious, is that LA, and then by extension California now, has technically been put into a state of emergency.
Okay.
Which is kind of a bit terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
A little tangent. The whole coronavirus stuff, that's obviously got a lot more serious in the last week.
Yeah.
And the thing that is kind of hurting my head about it is that I just don't know how to feel about it. Like, I'll read the news and it'll say, like, death toll's risen, blah, 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 in the UK, where we are.
Yeah.
But then I'll check... I read that, and then I checked Instagram, and, like, someone was at, like, a festival in the Alps. I just don't know how to feel. I'm like, okay, if we're taking this seriously, let's kind of all agree, let's do this. But unless you're going to install martial law, you can't really do that, right? You can just ask people and hope that they do the sensible thing.
I think it is serious. Like, the rate at which it's spreading. Yeah. And
I think the fact that people aren't taking it seriously is, like, increasing the seriousness or the rate of seriousness in which it's rising, right? Because people are like, until it happens to them, until people catch it, people are going to be like, don't worry about it.
It's like, that's just the flu. And it's like, it might be just the flu for me and you, but, you know, if I get it and I'm like, I'm just a little bit sick, and I get on a bus and then I give it to 20 people and one of them has any underlying health condition, it's like a voracious form of the flu, right? They'll get pneumonia or something from it, and so it can be dangerous.
Yeah, I'm personally going to definitely take a lot more precautions. Not that I have been reckless per se, but it's definitely heightened my awareness to it, so I'm going to be more I guess germ aware or hygienic,
at least for the next couple of months.
Yeah, definitely. It was initially cleared by the ESA, which is the Ecological Society of America. They reevaluated the situation I think at the beginning of this week, and they've declared LA and California in a state of emergency.
Okay.
The official statement from the ESA is, quotes, the health and safety of our attendees, exhibitors and partners and staff is our top priority. While the ESA continues to plan for a safe and successful E3 show on June 9th to June 11th, 2020, we are monitoring and evaluating the situation daily. That now has turned into E3 has been officially cancelled, I think, as of today.
Okay.
So, which I think is definitely, it's a shame, but it's definitely the most sensible thing to do.
Yeah, it would be irresponsible for them as organisers of the gathering to let it go ahead or even suggest it. Yeah. And if they put all the money into getting it up and together, they just won't recoup it because people won't go.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any financial sense to do it either.
Yeah, I think it was happening easy, so GDC didn't happen, but like people were just gradually pulling out, and they were like, you know what, let's just shut this down.
Yeah.
No one big is going to turn up, and then no one's going to turn up to see those people. And the people that do are just at risk. So I think it makes sense to do. It definitely doesn't do E3 any favors, because whether you've been keeping up with it, but E3's kind of been on the slow decline, I'd say, for the past 5 years or so.
Or like attendance.
That, and I think it's just lost more relevance. You know, I think people have just been moving towards doing their own directs. Like PlayStation pulled out last year, and then they've, I think, announced again they're not doing it this year. Nintendo don't really go, right. They reveal their major stuff through their directs.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
and they have like their own events for like, they have specific events for like Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably have one for like Metroid when that comes back. They can self-promote themselves why they need to go to a show, and I feel like it's more for the fans at this point. Like, it's cool to, kind of rub shoulders and get to see maybe, your favorite developers. You might go on a few years ago, if they reveal a new Mario game, that you might get to see Miyamoto on stage, or you might get to see something cool like that. So I feel like it's for the people going rather than it is for the developers or publishers that put stuff there.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
That's what I feel anyway. But I don't know. I don't know if it personally will. I think in the next 5 years, E3 won't be happening. I think it'll just be the directs that happen.
You heard it here first. That's the prediction.
Yeah.
Hot take.
There'll still be shows and stuff, but I just think E3 as a show, I think it's more of a fan service show, but people still feel pressured because of that to reveal something big.
Just show up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But those are my two small ones. My main course is kind of a callback to what we've done before. Not me, but what Matt has covered. So it's a previously reviewed game that Matt covered in episode 4, I believe it was. Mm-hmm. In that, Ghost Recon Breakpoint is being, quotes, massively reworked.
Unsurprised.
Yeah. So 5 months into its life cycle, they're cancelling the second raid that was planned.
Okay.
They've kind of scrapped the content roadmap they had and like redesigned that. They're reducing its always online requirement, and they're going to be releasing an update system that lets you deactivate its loot system.
Okay.
The new mode is going to be called Immersion Mode, and it can be switched on and off.
Okay.
Interesting. As we said with Matt's fine review in episode 4, that the game had flaws with things like having gear score.
Yes.
Being needed to engage enemies or to be able to accept missions, and the constant need of kind of it having like a Destiny-like mechanic in that if you find a better weapon, you just pick that up and you just keep swapping. So there's no point investing in the weapons you have. So because you could just find one off an enemy and pick one up and then
they have lethal headshots.
Yeah, so it's like
your power scaling is odd in a game that's focused on stealth. You know, having it's always better to play better than it is to rely on loot.
Yeah, so kind of gets around that. The microtransactions still there. Nowhere on that they're going to change.
Of course.
Hey. So the immersion mode is going to remove the gear score entirely. You're able to customize different character stats like your stamina and your health. So I guess you can put, I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but you can put in points to certain things. I'd imagine that will go. I'm going to invest in health in this character. He's going to be a bit of a tank, or I'm going to have like no health or stamina.
It's like loose RPG kind of.
Yeah, those kind of mechanics to it. So you can change the damage output. I think that you give. So I don't know if that's weapon modding or not.
Okay.
You can turn off elements of the HUD.
Okay.
And one that I know that griped you, Matt, specifically.
Oh yeah.
You can now lock down the hub world to just you, or you can turn it so only you and your friends can come in. Yeah,
I think that was one of the points I raised specifically, is that you're supposed to be this elite small unit of highly trained soldiers on like some island taking down a drug lord or something, and then you go to where your commanding officer is, and there's like 100 guys wearing giant pink bunny ears crowding around him.
Like everyone's crowding around quest givers being like, please give me a mission. Yeah,
you're like straddling an MMO and a pseudo-realistic co-op game with weapon levels.
I think, with that, when that's happening, but they're like, take this seriously, it's like, well...
It just didn't have an identity, right? It dilutes the identity of the game. You just don't really know what it is.
You can play offline.
Okay.
But not if you want to play co-op or PvP, which, fair enough. I don't know if you can do local.
No idea.
I wouldn't think you would, personally.
It doesn't tend to be a feature anymore. It's unusual for a game to have same couch.
Yeah. Which I miss, by the way.
I'm
a big fan of couch co-op. All this is kind of scheduled for the 24th of March. So what's that? 2 weeks, roughly?
Yeah.
2 weeks' time. All the dev time is now going into the immersion mode, but there's still no word on having AI partners like you could in Wildlands.
Okay.
So that's not going to happen. But there should be improvements to the overall AI of the enemies. So they're not going to be like, you're not going to shoot them in the face and they're going to be like, where did that come from?
Okay. Not going to give you the Skyrim treatment.
Yeah.
What was that noise?
Yeah. There's an arrow in my head. It must have been the wind. Do we think, Matt, that it is better for developers to address an issue like this? Because to be fair, 6 months, that's a pretty short time.
They're clearly listening.
Yeah, they've heard the feedback from the fans and they have done it. Do we think generally it is better to be open to that and to admit you're wrong, cut your losses, or do you stick to your guns and try and make, as opposed to scrapping what they've got and starting again? Do they try and build on what they've got, and do they just go for broke and be like, okay, this is what the game is, this is what it's going to be?
It depends. I think it depends entirely on the response to the game. Are your foundations bad, or are your walls improperly built? You know, you can.
That's a good metaphor.
You can patch.
Equate it to.
Yeah. Thanks, man. you can patch something up and you can give something a new coat of paint and it might attract more people in and it will look better and maybe you can fix up some of the mechanics. But in my opinion, I don't think this will help Breakpoint. I think that fundamentally it's flawed from a design perspective, and unless they really rethink the core design tenets of the game, because when I was researching it, it seemed like the design tenet was everything Ubisoft have ever done. Please also put this in this game. Yeah,
it seemed like to just find any way to crowbar any mechanic we've already done, put it in this game.
Yeah, and that's not good enough. Like, if you try and please all people, you please none of them. You've got to pick your game's identity, how you want the player to feel, how you want them to act, and it doesn't have that. So other games it can work with, like Rainbow Six Siege was released, it was an absolute mess.
Yeah, I've got, and ironically, also a Ubi game.
Yeah.
That had a bad entire year, right? That was basically kind of dead, and then it had a resurgence in its second year, and it's now one of the more popular shooters online, probably because it occupies a different niche.
Yeah,
but
I'm not sure.
Found its feet again.
Sorry, I'm not sure what it was that made it bad at the start, but I
kind of don't know the story behind it.
I'm not sure if it was like connectivity or weapon balance, but those are the kind of things that you can work on because the game at its core didn't change. It's still like a house siege based first person competitive shooter. It never deviated from that core design principle. They just changed the fluff.
Yeah. I did put Siege on it, actually. I think I don't know if they'll get many people back now from changing it. I think people might be sour by it and go, okay, well, no, I didn't like Breakpoint. I don't care what they've done to it. I'm not going back. And I think it is hard to win back fans that have been kind of had their fingers burnt.
Sure.
If you look at games like No Man's Sky, that was, that overpromised. That was kind of a different story, but it still had a pretty horrific launch. Assassin's Creed Unity, again another Ubi game.
Yeah,
was bugged to hell, just wasn't finished. And Fallout 76. That was kind of a combination too, right? That was buggy and overpromised.
Terrible and fundamentally terrible.
Yeah, and I think now, I'd love Fallout 76 to be good, but I almost don't care if it's finished now because it was broken when it came out, right?
Yeah, and it's also even if they fixed all of the bugs, it's still a bad game. It's not a better game for not having bugs anymore. With Assassin's Creed Unity, that was released too early. It needed more time in the oven. They shoved it out there, and it had bugs out the wazoo. And you can fix that because it's still an Assassin's Creed game. You're still fundamentally going to have fun with it. But it's the same point as before, I guess. If your game isn't well concepted, it's going to be poor.
It's flawed from the off.
Yeah. I think No Man's Sky is all right now. Right?
I think they finally fixed it, yeah. I don't think it lives up to anywhere near the scope that it initially promised. But it at least does some of the things, I think.
I feel like Sea of Thieves ended up being a bit of a pirate-themed No Man's Sky as well, right? You end up just sailing around doing nothing.
I think they made some claims about the character customization.
Okay.
I think they said over 1,000 items of clothing, but they classed one hat in 20 different colours as 20 things.
Come on now.
I think it was one of those.
You know what you're doing when you do that.
Yeah.
Come on now.
But yeah, those are my thoughts. If you played any terrible games that were broken when they came out, let us know. Or if you just know of any, shout them out.
Let us know what you thought of them then and what you think of them now.
Yeah, very good. But yeah, those are my newses.
Thank you. I'm enlightened by the news.
Oh. So Matt has been enlightened, and now we move on to the end, the final section, the question, which was, what are some of our favourite, I've put real life rule sets, but rule sets in sport, in games, in other things besides video games.
Yeah. So Matt. Outside of the sphere of classical gaming. I thought this would be an interesting question because we do talk about games as though they're specifically related to video games, card games, and tabletop games, but games exist in all kinds of forms and we play them all the time in ways that we don't even realize. But we're not going to get into the psychological theory.
We're not getting into game theory. We're not going to break that down right now.
We're not going to go that far, but I am going to say that dodgeball is pretty cool.
Dodgeball is cool.
I enjoy the comeback mechanics of dodgeball. Catching the ball and having someone on your team come in, outing the other person. I got weirdly into league dodgeball for a little while. And
it's insane.
It's impressive what these guys can do.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool. I would suggest watching it. I might even get back into it.
It was, ironically, the film Dodgeball that...
Did it get you into it?
that enlightened me to it. 'Cause it just seemed cool.
So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm not a big sports guy, so I don't watch a lot of sports. I don't mind boxing, I mentioned earlier on, and I don't mind UFC. But ball sports, like basketball, where you have a certain amount of steps, like you can't step a certain amount while you're doing a certain thing.
To me, that is like a rule that was generated for the sport rather than this is a gating mechanic on what you can do. Whereas like that feels like a rule for the sake of a rule to me.
Well, that
might not be the case if you do play basketball or netball, whatever those things.
Yeah, give us some basketball knowledge. Why does that exist? Why is that? And dribbling. I mean, I kind of get it. Otherwise, you're playing rugby, right? Rugby with a net.
You can double dribble if you can't stand in one spot and bounce the ball more than once. More than twice. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, it's like you have to take a certain amount of steps.
But then you can't. Neither can you hold the ball, right?
You can hold the ball, but then like
But you can't run and hold it.
Yeah. So like if you went for if you went to dunk, you'd have to do 1-2.
Wow.
Jump.
Can you pass it backwards and forwards as many times as you like?
Yeah. But you have a shot clock as well.
What if two people are holding the ball with one hand simultaneously, and they're both running?
I don't think that's ever happened.
So,
I don't know a lot about basketball. Clearly, anyone that knows about basketball is hearing me talk about it. Because I'm like 5'4" on a warm day.
It doesn't work like I don't know. You can't be thrown with the ball. Can you be thrown with the ball?
I probably could.
Is that a legal maneuver?
Maybe that's the next stage. If I join the NBA, I draw it as the ballman.
Like the ballman. You have one ballman.
They throw me at the backboard, and then I put the ball in.
Maybe that's the next stage for basketball. Is like you combine it with cheerleading and acro balance, so you can do absolutely anything with your bodies to get it up to the.
Is it basketball? Will you do it with trampolines?
That sounds cool as hell.
So
a lot easier, but
yeah, it's for basketball for people that aren't tall, basically.
That's cool. So if you know about basketball, please respond with some knowledge because we don't know.
Yeah, clear up what we just said because that was insane, probably.
And I also like Chess's Timer, which I know is technically a board game, but it is one of the classics, which is probably a bit of an understatement for how large chess is to gaming. You know, it's like saying Go. That's a good game. It's like one of the first games. The Chess's Timer, I think, is just a really important thing for the game that you wouldn't necessarily consider being important.
You have to match it with, when the few times I have played chess, it's a snail's pace because you're putting as much thought into your next move because that could lose you the game. Yeah, and you have to be thinking like several moves ahead to trap your opponent or whatever. And to do that at a pace, I don't know what do you lose points for being slower? I don't get what the timer does.
So I think that you have clocks that work on an overall time this is the time for the match, and you want to pass over within. You have 30 minutes to play a game of chess, and it's just about doing the whole game quickly. And then you have move timers where each person has a minute to make their decision, and if your minute runs out, you just go over to the other player.
Okay.
I think that's how it works. Again, chess players, any league chess players.
Yeah, we're not Bobby Fischer or whatever his name is.
No.
That insane chess player.
I'm not Big Blue either. That's the only chess player I know. And that's the computer.
No.
Is it right? Is that right? I don't even know if that's right. Right.
Yeah.
Before I embarrass myself anymore, I'm going to hand over to Sam. What are your favourite rule sets?
Well, I'm a big wrestling guy.
Oh, here we go.
Not me physically. That's a
fan of wrestling.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of wrestling. And you get some cool rule sets in that. Sometimes you get some goofy ones. Mm-hmm. Attitude Era Wrestling had some insane ones. Like the 24-hour title thing was mental.
I love that.
It was funny.
Yeah.
And it could only have been done in that period of time.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have people going down being chased in a shopping mall, and then like you had the cameraman going down a slide into a ball pit. So he was chasing a guy who was trying to get pinned.
I've not seen that, but I must see that.
People have been pinned while they're asleep. They brought a referee into the hotel room and then like held. I know that was Pat Patterson. I think they got them for that.
Okay.
But yeah, Hell in a Cell. It used to be like that was like the rivalry ender, and then most people who don't know wrestling will know the Mankind getting thrown off of it.
Oh yeah.
That kind of be the iconic image.
Tooth up his nose.
Yep. Too straight into his nose.
Yep.
Mankind's got some stories. When we're done with this, YouTube like Mankind like personal or like interview and stuff, and he's got some insane.
He's the weirdest injuries.
Yeah. TLC, that was always fun. That was a big staple in like the early 2000s. Dudley Boys. Get the tables. And hardcore.
Yeah, hardcore was fun.
It was like mental, or like you can get. There's 3 stipulations that are either insanely niche in their differences or are basically the same, and it's like hardcore, falls count anywhere. There's like 3 rule sets that are basically the same, and I don't know where they differ.
Okay, but I don't know enough to know about the difference between those. And the only reason I know about the falls count anywhere is from the No Mercy N64 game.
Great game,
which was
one of the best wrestling games
awesome
of all time. Quick one, I like Rugby Sin Bin. I think that's good that you're not permanently banned from the game. I think you can go in and out.
Like a timeout.
Yeah.
You've been bad.
So
you sit in the corner.
I'm a big football fan, but I wish officials in rugby were half as respected. In football were half as respected as they are in rugby, because like no one fucks with a rugby referee.
It's just a different mentality to the game, right?
Yeah.
Let's say rugby's what is it?
It's
played by gentlemen, or like
it's a thug sport played by gentlemen.
That's the one.
And then football is the reverse. I've written down as well, because it's probably not something. Monopoly for me is like the Wild West in games. It can make and break families.
Okay.
When I've played, so my aim in Monopoly is never to win. It's to frustrate as many people as I can. So what I do is I go around and I buy one of every color.
You are the worst.
So people have to like break deals with me.
You literally can't. I don't think you can win doing that.
No, I can't. But that's not my aim. And so I like form alliances with people. So just when someone's about to go out, sometimes I just give them a bit of money to keep them in.
It's terrible.
It's like the scene in American Psycho.
Yeah.
So don't play Monopoly with me.
No, I'm glad I'm not related to you.
No one likes it. Danielle hates me for it because she plays to win Monopoly.
She's quite a competitive person.
She can be on stuff like that. Yeah, she doesn't like being bad at stuff. Yeah, so. And I quite like, as much as that won't show it, I like honor-based systems. So I'm very much against victory through any form of cheating, or just cheating in general. I think you only cheating yourself. And my kind of mantra is that if I had to cheat to win, I wasn't good enough. And knowing that for me is worse than getting like a false victory.
Oh yeah,
so
for sure, I agree with you on that one.
So
I'd rather be beaten than win, either because someone treated me with kid gloves or because I needed to cheat.
Yeah, it's like when we played, Smash and stuff. Me letting you win is more insulting to you.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Like you beat me 90 times out of 100, and that's fine. Like I can take, most of the time I can take that. Yeah. Sometimes I definitely can't. But yeah, that's less disrespectful than you either letting me win.
Yeah, and you'd instantly know it.
Yeah.
Like even if I didn't admit to it, you'd be like, you definitely let me win that. Like you could have killed me and you didn't. Or, In football, there's kind of an unwritten rule that if someone goes down injured, you kick the ball out of play.
Okay.
And I kind of like that, but that's not that can cause a bit of controversy in that you don't have to do that. So if someone goes down, like say if you're going to take on like a last defender,
yeah,
and he goes down and he like twists his ankle or whatever, and he's like, like that person doesn't have to stop.
You can just go straight past him.
Yeah. So,
okay.
But you can do the honourable thing, and there's been times where like people have been given like a penalty, and they got up and be like, no, I wasn't fouled. They've like been honest and said that was I slipped, but then the referee's been mistaken. Sometimes they still make them take it and they just kick it back to the goalkeeper.
Really?
They're like, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh, okay.
And I'd be that guy. And as much as I'm not a fan of the series, I really like the golden snitch rule in Quidditch.
Okay.
The fact that it's a hard to achieve aim, but you can instantly, like, it's an instant comeback mechanic and it just ends the game. So anything, I can't think of any other ones, games or sports or whatever that have that. I think that's why
Not off the top of my head.
Smash is so appealing, and that you can make a comeback because it's not based on health or...
Yeah, like there's always the opportunity you can gimp or spike or...
Yeah, you're never out of the game.
No.
Until you are officially defeated.
Yeah, and you see it all the time, like people coming back from reverse 3 stocks happen.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's mine. I feel like, like I said, I don't know if you mentioned it as well, but yeah, honor-based systems, no cheating, don't play Monopoly.
Yeah, I think those are the key takeaways.
You'll kill yourself if you play it with me, because I'm just out to frustrate you.
So Sam, what is the question for next time?
The question for the next episode is, what games have we put the most time into?
Okay, this is pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, that one was a bit more of a concept-y question, so I thought I'd get more back to a solid base with a bit more of a binary answer.
I like it. Let's find out what ours are next time. But we are going to keep talking. There's an end here.
Yeah.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
So that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening to us, as always.
Yeah, thank you for choosing to spend your time here with us. And keep your eyeballs peeled for Vox Ludio on Facebook.
Yes, it's finally happening. So by the time you hear this, we're going to we've made the Facebook page, but we're going to officially do like an outreach.
Yeah, publish it.
We're going to promote it more, yeah. So yeah, if you could shoot us a like on there, that'd be great. If you like it. If not, don't like it.
And if you do that, you'll be able to follow us here, what we're doing here. We're going to run polls. We're going to run all kinds of comments for what we're going to be doing in the episodes.
Yeah, we'll do as much audience interaction as we can because, without the people that listen and, dare I say fans of the show. We don't know if we do actually have any, but we may do. But if you are a fan, you can get involved with that in a myriad of ways.
Yeah, and the things that we're discussing here, you can jump straight in. The Facebook's a great way just to talk directly to us about what we're talking about and open up those threads of thought.
Yeah, you communicate with us. You can send us ideas you want to talk about, you think would be good on the show. You can respond to what we've said.
Yeah.
Get involved whoever you want.
Yeah.
So all good. So,
yeah.
Bye.
I'm going to let it hang a little bit longer so it's not the end. Oh, I've done it.
Bye.